Our first reading today from the Acts of the Apostles has this miraculous story of the apostles being freed from prison so that they can go and preach in the synagogue again. That the chief priests were jealous of all of their fame and all of the attention they were getting, that they put them in prison, and then in the middle of the night there's an angel that opens the locked doors to this prison and sets them free. Free to do the work that Jesus has given them, to preach the gospel and to go and baptize all nations. And what's interesting then is that we have this paired with this scripture from the Gospel of John, where Jesus is talking to Nicodemus, and he gives us that oh so famous line that we heard throughout our Lenten season as our Lenten theme. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that we might have life and might have it to the full. And then he says that this is the verdict, that while the light came into the world, Jesus himself came into the world, people preferred darkness because their works were evil. People prefer darkness to light. Now, I don't know about you, but I usually like light. Light is a good thing, but a lot of times there are things that we like to keep in the darkness, things that we want to keep secret, things that we don't want to really deal with. And sometimes it can be easier to say, I'm going to allow this to stay in the dark, or I'm going to allow myself not to think about this so much or bring it up because it's too hard, it's too painful. I'd rather keep it in the darkness rather than bring it to the light. But the reality is that Jesus is always opening doors for us. He's always opening these locked doors, and he's always trying to shed lights on the places where we sometimes would rather stay in darkness. And the light is always going to be better than the darkness. The light is always better than the darkness. Although there might come some difficulty in opening up to the light, it might take us a little bit to actually decide that we do want to live in the light rather than in the darkness. So what are those places that are prisons of darkness for you? Those places where you're kind of afraid, perhaps, to allow the light to come in. It could be your own sinfulness. It could be a past hurt or trauma or grief that is too painful to bring up again. Or it could be just unforgiveness or resentment against another person, something that is so crippling with anger for you that you don't want to let that go. Allow Jesus to shed light on those things, because he's opening the doors, these locked doors, that we might step into the light, that we might know his true peace and let go of all these other things that keep us from knowing that true peace. Jesus is opening the door, so will we have the confidence and the courage to walk through into the light?